Science Stroke Art 2014. No matter how important this condition is, no matter how many people are being affected, how many people are dying from the condition, it's not sexy television. However, the way to make it sexy television, get a celebrity.
Things have changed. Stroke mortality has fallen by about 60% over the last 20 years. And now every hospital in the UK has a stroke unit. And getting on for 90% of stroke patients will see that stroke unit during their admission. We need to continue to develop. If we tackle stroke properly in terms of prevention and subsequently treatment, I'm sure we can radically improve the lives of many stroke patients.
An hour after that picture was taken, I suffered a stroke aged 37, which rendered me sort of helpless. The one thing that unites us as stroke survivors is the term stroke. By definition, you know, we've all experienced different things because of what will have happened in the brain.
Actually, Chris, I could be the sexy face of the stroke, fundamentally. Oh yes, I like the sound of this science stroke art. I don't trust anybody who tells me I can't do anything.
Most of the problems in my life, and I think in most people's lives, are caused by an inability to communicate. And I believe that the more we learn to communicate, the more happier and peaceful we are as individuals. And I believe poetry increases our abilities to communicate well. Something that happened to my dad, it was never called a stroke. It was called an act of God. A funny turn that reverberated through the rest of my life. Now we can talk about the science of stroke all day, but it doesn't really touch on the emotional effects. That's why I've loved doing these workshops.
If this window could open, I would reach for autumn, caress the trees tinged with gold, crunch on leaves, and walk through the gate to misty mornings.
Can't help it, but brain goes on strike. Something happened when I was doing all right. The outside's okay, but the inside's not right. I was a lucky one, but still parts up flight into a world that's covered with fright. Few people care, and fewer can see just what this stroke has done to me.
The first thing that struck me was that in my previous life, and some of the earlier referred to their past life, in my past life I'd never stopped to watch the colours change on the leaves on the tree. And the second thing that struck me, which is an obvious point, is that the leaves on the tree become beautiful as they're dying and after they're dead. And there seemed to be a comparison with the stroke. Not that I died after the stroke, but my old life had died. And in this new world, there was a form of beauty that I was finding through my art.
We all have chemicals in our brains that are essential for normal function. But some of those chemicals are highly toxic. And one of the things that happens in damage to the brain, in a stroke, in a hemorrhage, in an injury, is that too much of those chemicals are released in an uncontrolled way. And there's one key process that doesn't happen in healthy tissues or healthy people, but it does happen in disease. And that is something called inflammation. So it's a good thing when in small amounts, it's a very bad thing when it's produced in the brain after a stroke. I never like to make false promises, We never know the answer to research. If we did, we wouldn't be doing it. But there is a possibility, I think, that within the next few years, there will be radical new treatments for stroke and related disorders. What we wanted to do was bring together something about the treatments for stroke, something about the science behind it, together with art, and demonstrate that the two are actually closely interlinked.
Haven't these stroke survivors just been inspirational? Who the hell needs bloody celebrities? Hey.